I'd like to call to order the regular Town Commission meeting of February 13th, 2024. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please call the roll.
Mayor Tompeck,
Here.
Vice Mayor Fender. Let the record reflect that Vice Mayor Fender is not present. Commissioner Kurzman?
Yes.
Commissioner Mayfield?
Here.
Okay, the first item we have this evening is a presentation to the 2023 Officer of the Year, Joseph Sewall.
If you'd like to, you can stand right there while we say kind things about Officer Sewall. Officer Joseph Sewall became a police officer with the Sewell Point Police Department in August of 2022. This was his first job as a law enforcement officer. And police officers in Sewell Point are challenged in ways that officers in a large agency may not be. Our officers respond not only to traditional calls for service, but they also respond to medical assists and fire calls. But when a crime does occur and needs investigation, frequently that road patrol officer now assumes the role of detective. Additionally, our police officers are the driving force between all of our community events, including our old-fashioned 4th of July celebration and bike parade, Easter extravaganza, and the holiday open house. Engaging residents and families, these events help the neighbors come together and promote positive relationships between the community and police officers. Officer Sewall is a significant contributor to the positive relationship the department has with its citizens. Having years of experience working with children in local schools, Officer Sewall is friendly, sociable, and especially relates well to the youth in our town. Everywhere you go, you'll meet a citizen who knows Officer Sewall and has nothing but kind words to say about him. His constant smile and pleasant demeanor made him a natural choice to act as Santa Claus for 2 years at our annual holiday event. Officer Sewall displays attentiveness with the children and all of the jolliness you would expect from Old St. Nick. Daily, Officer Sewall demonstrates a clear commitment to excellence and his loyalty to the department. The department is proud to have a skilled individual in Officer Sewall, and we rely upon him to provide excellent policing services to the town of Sewell Point that all of you expect from your police officers. Officer Sewall has contributed significantly to the success of the department and deserves to be recognized for his efforts, which is why he's the Police Officer of the Year for 2023. On a personal note, I have to relay something that happened on Saturday. Some of you may or may not know we had a relatively serious accident out here in the intersection. Officer Sewall woke me up at 11:30 at night, which you may or may not know is about 3 hours past my bedtime. And the most comforting thing I can tell you is immediately after I hung up with him, I went back to bed. That almost never happens. You know, I'd be sitting worried, concerned, do I need to call, do I need to go in? But I have so much confidence in this young man that I was thrilled. He's the guy working, he's taking care of it, and if he needs me, he'll call me. But it's nice to know that they don't always need you. You know, it's kind of like parents, you know, when they kind of go off and they're on their own. And that really is a huge compliment. I never worry when he's working. He's just a wonderful, wonderful man, and I really am thrilled to have him. So I do have something for you. I'd like to present you with this Officer of the Year award, doubles as a weapon. As well as this pin for your uniform, and I just want to say thank you. Thank you, Chief. Thank you very much. Let's thank you.
Thank you. He doesn't do it without you guys.
That is for you as well. Thank you.
No speech?
Oh, you don't want to do that. So seriously, thank you guys for everything you do. You guys make it easy on me. You know, it's all worth it. Next time you see me driving, just wait. I'll wait back.
We're trying to clone you, but
Thank you guys.
congratulations.
Thank you.
Awesome.
And thank you, Chief, for the comments. Any public comments?
No, sir.
Okay. Are there any additions, deletions, or changes to the agenda? If not, I'll need a motion for the approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
That makes
Only
it-
us.
That makes it simple. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Kurzman?
Yes.
Commissioner Mayfield?
Yes,
Mayor Tompeck?
Yes. Consent agenda?
I'll make another motion to approve it.
I'll second it again.
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Mayfield?
Yes,
Commissioner Kurzman?
Yes.
Mayor Tompeck?
Yes.
Mayor, just so you know, Commissioner Fender did contact me back. He said he's about 15 minutes away. I know it's a short agenda tonight, so I did mention to him it might be a short meeting, but I think he's on his way.
Okay,
So-
thank you. Okay, we have no public hearings for ordinances, first or second reading, no resolutions. That brings us down to item 10, old business. Final approval for commission chambers rental. Mr. Daniels.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I know at the last meeting, you kind of, the commission kind of left it to me to work all this out, but I just wanted to do a quick run-by of where we're at, and if you see next to your desk, there should be the user agreement, which I think is really more important than the memo. I did meet with Premier Realty, with Jessica, and she's on board with everything that we're working on, and she supports it. So I think the key thing, taking the commission's lead of, demonstrating the preference that we have to our residents and other organizations that we prefer that they meet during the business hours. The Premier Realty, who's the biggest user during the daytime, it's probably, when they're on their normal schedule, it's 3 meetings a month. And they will always be doing that during the business hours of Town Hall. So that's not a problem. There is the fee that will take place, and that'll start March 1st, if the commission's of approval of everything. And then I did talk to some of the homeowners associations. Usually January, February, March is the timeframes where they come in and meet. And I have expressed to everybody that we really prefer them to come in during the daytime and be free and have their meetings during the daytime. Otherwise, we will be having a charge that'll start in March. And same thing with, they're nonprofits anyhow, so it's, the same thing. If there's a nonprofit organization that's tied in with the town in any way, like we have the Friends of the Everglades, they're over here next to us in the office building, and if they wanted to use the facility, obviously they'd be allowed to. We would need their 501c4, or I think is theirs, C3, whatever. So again, we're looking for the tie-in with the town to utilize the facility, similar to what we do with the rental of the pavilion, and then they'll pay a fee what's appropriate, and so just need some leeway with you. We did have to move some meetings around in February. So March 1st, pretty much for the daytime use. And then a couple of the homeowners groups, since they had to get moved because of the stormwater and vulnerability study meetings that we're having. I didn't think it was fair because we moved them to charge them a fee in March. So, and that's pretty much in the user agreement. It says in there, I kind of have the leeway if there's a conflict or something that I think is in the best interest of the town to waive a requirement, and I have that authority to do it if you all agree.
I'd like to make a motion that the exceptions should be made to move forward with this.
yeah, I'll second it, but I wanted to add a few things. Is that okay, Mayor?
Go ahead.
Okay. Just to clarify for everyone and myself, this is going to, all this information, I know you have it written down right here as a recommendation, and we talked about this briefly, but it's all going to be in a user agreement that the town has on file, correct? And you give to anyone that asks to use is that how it's getting codified, for lack of a better word. That's not a great word.
Yes,
It's not going into
actually,
code.
the town attorney has already provided that for our use agreement with the park and the facilities there. So Susan's going to be modifying that agreement to match this facility.
Okay.
And, so everything will be codified appropriately.
Is that really the only place it's written down, per se?
Pretty much, that's the way we've done it before, but, I mean,
Okay.
I think, we can post the rules
Okay.
in our little area that we have for posting our
I
notices.
think that might be helpful.
So, and then, once we can get some room on the website, we can post it on the website as well.
I think that sounds like a good idea. And then maybe, since we're not really approving this written anymore, it's just all going into the agreement. But if we wanted to work in, I had specified before, you talk about nonprofits and businesses and maybe groups at your discretion.
Yes,
So that it's not just, you don't
Correct.
want to totally limit
and that's
yourself.
kind of the leeway
Okay.
that I want. And
Okay.
obviously, the book club, they're here.
And they're not a not-for-profit or a business, so.
They're just a gathering of
Correct. Yeah.
residents that we sanctioned already, because
Right.
they've been doing it for years and years and years. We used to have the vets here, the veterans,
Mm-hmm.
and they now are meeting elsewhere. But if they decide to come back,
Right.
because that's a group of residents here as well. So,
Okay.
just the key thing is the tie-in to the town.
Mm-hmm.
And because we do want to try to limit the use as much as we can.
Okay, all right, that's it.
Okay, are there any other questions or comments? If not, April, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Mayfield,
Yes.
Mayor Tompeck,
Yes.
Commissioner Kurzman.
Yes.
Okay, we're rolling right along here. We have no new business. The next item is the discussion on the road project update. Mr. Capra, boy, we haven't seen you in a long time, Joe,
No questions about sewers.
No sewer tonight. First of all, Joe Capper for the record. I appreciate being here tonight. And I know I'm supposed to only talk about roads, but I do want to let you know we've had several meetings already on stormwater master planning, and I really try to go over all the projects we have going on. And so we are trying to get the communication out there a little bit, and anything that I present today, or stuff that I've been presenting in the master stormwater meetings, which there is going to be 8 of them total, everything is talked about, so it will be on the website. So I've presented this material in many different fashions over the years. You can't tell me anything bad about it, because I know everybody likes it a different way, so just, we'll put it any direction, any way you want to in the future, but I just thought I'd give you a summary of the projects. And just, the other thing you should note, as we deal in these projects, we turn in a lot of grants, we get good feedback, and sometimes we get negative feedback. So these numbers of grants change all the time, and we stay on top of everything. So, and we work as a pretty good team with Bob and Mariah and so forth. So I just want you to know it is a team effort, and we'll go through everything that we have in the books right now. So I'm going to start on the top of the list, and it's on the screen for those in the audience. But essentially, Phase 1 project, as most of you know, is the area between High Point and Sewell's Meadows. That was built and completed in November of 2021. It was a resiliency project. It included raising the road, providing some stormwater improvements, and so forth. And basically, we are pretty much at the end of, what happens is you do the work, you basically pay your contractors, you pay all the subcontractors, everything gets paid. You turn in a request for reimbursement from the grant agencies, and if everything works right, they give you money back, right? So we've been doing that, and bottom line is, pretty much of the 3 grants that we used on that project, which was an HMGP, that's a federal FEMA grant, an Indian River Lagoon Council grant, which is the Indian River Lagoon grant, and then FDEP grant. We had 3 different grants on that project. We had about $2.5 million in grants for various phases of design, construction, and basically it was about a $3.3 million project, but you should know that of the $2.5 million, we still about have an $882,000 reimbursement from FEMA coming, okay? And if you recall, what that was during the construction of the project, actually after we bid it, we actually asked for them to pay for some pumps and some generators and so forth like that. They paid for the pumps. I just want you to know that money's still hanging out there, and we've been told we're going to get that pretty short order. Mariah's not listening to me, but I think she knows that. So, yeah, it's not uncommon. So, okay, so that's phase one. So if you look at the percentages, we got some pretty good. We got some really good, money back from the grant agencies, and the town did put money into that, and obviously they had to put all the money up front. So, and then they got money back. So, the phase two project, that one. We've really just started that project in a lot of ways, and that's the area that is basically from High Point to Rio Vista, and that project, you've given us the permission to move forward with the design, and so we've been doing that, and surveying was the first thing that we do in that area, and essentially the soonest we probably will bid that is July 2024. And I put in here on a lot of these responses, depends on town cash flow, because we've got a lot of projects going on. And obviously, I know you're spending a lot of money at once, so I just wanted you to know if there may be a reason we delay that, but it may not just because of cash flow, it may be for other reasons too, because as I told you earlier, a lot of these projects are grant-driven, of course, and when a grant agency says they're going to give us money, and when they actually give us the money, it sometimes gets delayed. So, but anyways, the point is there's permits to obtain. We don't believe they're going to be any different than the permits we've already obtained on other parts of the project. Easement acquisition is a big item that Bob and your staff is doing a great job on, because everybody along the routes of these improvements usually has to give us a 5, 10, 15-foot easement so that we can work within this area next to the right-of-way that you own. So that takes quite a bit of time. And of course, we will be pursuing additional grant funds. And again, it's about a year project once we get it under construction. So we can cut some of this down depending on how we present, how we build it. And I'll just use the example that we're doing in phase 3 part of the project is we build water and sewer first because it's under everything else. So that's a pretty substantial amount of work. It's at least almost $3 million worth of work, okay? So we've been doing that ahead of the roadway and the drainage work, and so we can continue doing those operations, and it usually, in the case of phase 3, we did see a savings by not having a general contractor over that subs for water and sewer mains. Good news is, most of the time, Martin County Utilities is giving us the money for the water main improvements, so we have their money to pay for it, and then we also have the grant for the sewage, the low-pressure force main money. So we have the money in place for those two operations, and so we may do them on all phases if this works out pretty good like we hope it will. Anyways, the total estimated project cost in these areas has grown. We learned that in the last bid. I think we're pretty conservative on it, $14,700,000. HMGP, these grants from the HMGP, which are FEMA grants, are based on storm events, okay? And this one is based on the Dorian storm event. A couple things we have to keep our eye on is they give us money to start the design. We finish the design, permitting, and bidding, and then we present how much money we think we need totally, okay? In this case, we hope that we will get $1.833 million. That's what we hope we're going to get, but what has happened in the past, we've been asking for more money, or we've been needing more money. So at that point, we ask for more money, okay? We can't do that until the design is complete, and we go through that process of the design phase. Okay, so first thing, we do have money for design. We have we believe we're going to get at least $1.8 million. We will probably get more based on what the costs have been. The next item on there is a DEP. That's a state project under DEP resiliency. It's $2.9 million. We have a grant from them for that amount of money. I will tell you, we like to match federal dollars with state dollars. The unfortunate part about this grant, it says DEP resiliency there. We hope that that was a state money. It's actually ARPA money that came from the federal government. So the problem with that is we don't necessarily get the benefit of matching federal with state dollars here. So that'll be a challenge for us on a lot of things. We've asked on the grants after this one to let us use DEP money that's state money, not ARPA money, but they haven't been too happy about doing that yet because they've got so much federal money coming in on their side. So that's one thing. The second thing is I put in red the DEP resiliency request. We've asked for another $5.3 million. You heard that from Chloe last month. So that's still pending. I put it in red because I don't have it yet. Hoping we're going to get it, fingers crossed. A lot of praying. Maybe you guys might want to go knock on a few doors. But bottom line is we need that money, okay? You were successful in get a state appropriation DOT. That's DOT money, and from the state appropriation, that state money, that was $1 million. What I've done on these in this document is I've kind of shown you the water and the paving and drainage improvements. I've kept sewage to the last item on the list, okay? So that we can talk about that there. But it will be built in these projects as we work along. But I wanted to, water main is in here. The benefit of that $1.1 million that we estimate that will be, because that's what it's been in the last two phases roughly, is we will use that as our match because it's local money. So it's important that we keep that hanging out there. So we're about $12.229 million if we get the FEMA grant, if we get the resiliency grant. And so we will actually pursue more grants, but that's about $2.47 million. So that's either your money or that's additional grants. So I just want you to know that's what we're hanging out there without a source of funding for yet, okay? It doesn't mean we don't pursue other grants and we go after them all, but anyways, that is what that number is. So again, for those of you that are keeping track of this, at this exact moment, it could be 5.3 plus 2.447 million. So we're still working on getting the money, and nothing says that we can't go and do the water and sewer line improvements, and as we get the money, we do parts of it, okay? We don't always have to do the 2,000-foot increment of improvements that we're talking about. Certainly, that's what our goal is, to get that done, but each of these phases is about 2,000 feet, so you know, of South Sewell's Point Road. And it goes up into the subdivisions, okay? So there's quite a bit of work here that we could be doing with the money we have, but again, that's, if you remember on phase one, we actually did the FEMA money, and then we had to, because we had that in place, and then we did the state money. So we basically have had to break these apart, and so it's not uncommon to these projects just because we use the money we have in grants and spend it as soon as we can. So that's phase two. I've kind of went between 1 and 2. Any comments on that? Anything you
Yeah, I
want
have a
to?
quick question on phase two, Joe. I think, you've got the state appropriations for $1 million, and I think that was an appropriations request that we made in 2022. We also made a request in 2023 for, what was it, 4 or 5 months ago, I guess we were up there. So do you want to include, put that in red on that list?
Yes, I can. That we haven't heard on that one yet, have we? Because the state legislature is still working, right?
Right.
Got it.
But I know we had requested 2 $1 million grants for phase two, and only shows one here.
Got it. We'll add,
On that particular grant or the appropriation, they were talking about trimming it to $500,000 instead of giving us the $1 million. And I know they're still working on that. We sent out some emails.
It doesn't show up here anywhere.
Right. But I just wanted to, that's the latest on that, and I think Chloe will be at the next meeting, so she'll be giving you an update on that.
Okay. Commissioner Mayfield?
Yes. When you talked about the phase one reimbursement, the 800,000, will that help with cash flow issues, or is that something already been accounted?
money you've already spent. You'll be
Right.
getting back. You'll be getting.
Okay, well, that's good.
Yeah.
Hopefully we get it soon. And you had mentioned the FDEP resiliency grant, that 5.3 million. Who do you talk, who do we talk to? Who do we send a letter to? FDEP, but like, that's rather
Yeah,
generic, is it?
Chloe has the names of all the people she has contact with.
Okay.
And I forget their names off the top of my head, but she's the one that actually kind of pursues that. She basically has,
I think it's one of the deputy directors.
yeah, I just don't have it on their name here, sorry about that.
I can get that and
Okay.
send it
Well,
out.
I mean, if it can help, we might as well
Sure.
try.
Right.
And then the state appropriations, can that be used as matching for the ARPA money?
Yes, as
Okay.
long as it's state money.
Okay.
And that is, I had that
Yeah.
conversation Friday.
Yeah, that one is, so.
Okay.
It's, sometimes we don't know until after we turn it in, and the next thing you know, they tell us, we're going to use the federal side of the money that we have, so, but most of the time, we've been asking for, because it kind of caught us by surprise in Phase 3. We basically
Okay.
said we want to use the state side. That didn't change our mind, but at least we've been asking for that.
Oh, and in case I didn't want to forget to say this, but I went to one of the meetings that Joe led, and he did a great job. A lot of information, very long talking. I'm impressed you're doing it 8 times, so good work.
Yes, we have to get the word out, so. Don't get a lot of input, to be honest with you. I thought I'd get a little more input about how people want to solve some of the drainage problems, but at least they're listening, so that's good, right? So, all right, so that's Phase 2. Phase 3, that's the one we designed. That's Mrs. Riley's lot. You probably know the area very well now. We've talked about it for 3 years now. Essentially, we're moving along on that. Stormwater roadway, right-of-way acquisition, design, most of the design is complete, but it's one of the things that happens as we talk to property owners, sometimes we make some minor tweaks or so forth to the work that we're going to do, but anyways, that's ongoing. Water main and septic to sewer items are under construction. That's the one that Jamie Underground is doing at this current time. Easement acquisition, again, Bob is heading that up and doing a great job for us. We have received all our permits for that. We have a little item out there that you all know about, an Indian mound, and that has kind of, we have permits for it, but when we've gone through what is the HMGP, they're kind of making us go through everything over again. So anyways, that kind of is an item that you should know that's out there. But we have it in the bids, we have it in the contracts, and we have marked it and everything, but that item, it's by itself, and the fact that we have to wait for HMGP environmental section to look at everything over again, that has caused a little delay on some of the bidding that we're going to do on the roadway side. We expect to rebid in April, and that's a change from what I've told you in the past. And the reason is because of the Indian Mound issue and FEMA. So I'm going to explain that in a second. FEMA asking us we asked FEMA for some more money, which they've agreed to give us, but they have been doing another review of the project to give us that extra money, and so we're still waiting on the results of that. We currently believe, from what we've heard in phone calls, is that Florida DEP, Florida FDEM, I'm sorry, Florida FEMA, has requested now, what they do is they review and approve everything, and then they have to send it to FEMA, the federal government, to approve it, and that's where it is right now. So we hope to be hearing back from them shortly on that. So, and that, but rebid in April, and again, we're expecting it's going to be a year process, so you know. It's a $14 million project. We've had design fees from HMGP, again, a federal grant, and Matthew Construction, we initially received, and we have a contract for $1.64 million. And we've asked for more money, and they've told us in a letter, we are going to get the $2.145 million. However, we have to wait for them to go through the review process, which they have sent up to FEMA. So that's we believe we're getting that. We at least have a letter saying we'll get an increase there. So those are the federal side of FEMA's money. The next thing is we have a resiliency grant. Unfortunately, that also is a federal grant, again, an ARPA funding grant. I should point out to you, the HMGP, that's the Matthew storm. The reason I put the storm events there is because each one of them has a different pot of money and different size pot of money, but also what's important there is we have to keep track of how long that money sits out there. So they've just received an extension on the Dorian one that puts us out there a little longer. So we want to make sure that we get the projects built before that money goes away. That, because the timeline is based on them finishing the project within a certain time. Anyways, the way you look at this, get basically resiliency ARPA money, we have a $3.4 million grant for that, which we have already in place. On that one, we've asked for resiliency to be increased by 5.5 million, okay? So that, again, is a number that we don't know for sure we're going to get and when we're going to get it, but well, we are keeping our eye on it. That's another one that we'd like to keep on our eye on. Martin County Utilities, the number that's in the Jamie Underground project is 1.091 million, and we already have an agreement with Martin County Utilities to pay us for that. So actually, I think we've actually billed them for some of that work already.
I'm not sure, but
Okay.
we will be shortly if we
Yeah.
have it.
So as you can see, if all that money comes in, we would need about $26,000, right? But we're not sure all that money's going to come in, but that's what that's telling you. And we could maybe get some more grant. We could apply for more grants if it turns out, because again, we got the 5.5 plus the 26,000. So that's all an estimate right now. We hope to bid it, but my reason for not bidding it too soon is because those bids are only good for 90 days. And if I bid it, then we'd be wasting time bidding it and your money doing that. So I kind of wait till we're certain that we have the money, at least a good portion of this money in place. Because again, we may do the HMGP work and we may do the resiliency work separately if it turns out we don't get all the money we want at one time. So the point I'm trying to make is if I go out there and bid the project and we don't get some of that money, then obviously it will bid it a different way. So I don't want to finalize that yet. Anyways, that's phase 3. Anybody want to talk about that?
Yeah, I have one quick question. I understand what you're talking about in terms of not bidding it too soon, which is why you pushed it off to April 2024. I'm wondering why construction is a year later. What is it? Once again, is it a case of waiting for grant funding to come in, or?
I probably should have put the word construction completion.
Oh, all
We're
right.
expecting, because I put it on the one above it.
Yeah, it's
but I didn't
supposed
put
to
it
take
on.
about a year to construct.
Okay.
Sorry,
All right.
sorry, my fault.
That makes me feel much better. Thank you. Commissioner Mayfield?
Yes, I actually had that same question because I was concerned if we were starting in April 2025. But also, so we did both appropriation requests for Phase 2 the past 2 years?
Yes.
Okay. And that was because we thought we had enough money for Phase 3? Is that why we did? I can't even remember what.
That's also correct.
Okay.
Mayor, if I may too, on the Phase 3 work is the FEMA portion, which we pretty much will have funded once we get that okay. That's where our property is located at 78 South Sewell Point Road. So I know that's a priority to move that part of the project.
That's good.
So one of the items in these that I didn't explain to you, and I don't need to go into too much detail, but what has happened when we use HMGP FEMA money, and it's federal, and we use DEP resiliency money that's federal, they won't let us do improvements. They won't let us intermingle those two pots of money. So I have to show them, which is another thing they've kind of held our feet to the fire on. I have to show them that the work that I do in the HMGP area is different and is not reliable on the resiliency money for the other federal money, which has been kind of a complex thing because I have to show FEMA that I have cost-benefit ratios. And so I have to pick the area that we get the most benefit out of relief from flooding and the homes that would flood, and that order. So it's not as easy as I get both of these pots of money. I have to use them in specific areas because they're both federal funded projects. I can't tell you why they do that, but that's both them as well as the DOT, as they've all explained this, you can't intermingle these pots of money. So anyways, something you might want to know. It sounds a little easy, but they make it as complicated as they can, I guess. Anyways, so that's phase 3. Any other questions? Okay, well, phase 4 is pretty simple because I figured I loaded you up on enough work and money and so forth here. I haven't applied for too many more grants on that. When we do see a grant out there from a hurricane that we can apply for, we will apply for that, and we'll start with the same process. HMGP, and then we'll also pursue. We already have septic to sewer working in some of that part of phase 4 already, because we have to get the line from the lift station site over here down the road. So we do have work being done in that phase by Jamie Underground already, and the water main will probably be replaced like it is in other phases. But it's about a $14 million project. I assume we'll be submitting for a grant from FEMA, HMGP, as well as resiliency money. I think we probably should at least try to get the resiliency money for phase 2 and 3 first, but so.
Sorry, Commissioner Mayfield, do you have another question?
Yeah, quick one. You briefly said this water main may need to be replaced. You said probably. Why would it not be replaced if the rest of South Sewell Point?
So in general, what Martin County Utilities is looking at, if there's a line that's out of a transite pipe, which is an older type of pipe and is susceptible to cracking and so forth, as well as services, where that's typically where if you remember, there's sometimes water main breaks. It's typically happening where the services are to some of those older lines. So they're replacing those items, okay? But if there's a line that's been built in the last 20 years that may be out of PVC, they are not necessarily replacing it because it may not be, it's still in good working order. So it's a matter of, what they've replaced in the past, as an example, Via Lucinda, we had a 2-inch water main. We asked for them to upgrade that to 6-inch, which gives more pressure, also provides better fire protection. So anyways, I just want you to know, it's not the quality of the material, sometimes it's the size.
Okay.
So there's a few different things. The good news is they've been putting this in their budget, and as we've needed the water main money, and they're working right alongside of us, is what I'm trying to tell you.
Okay.
So. Okay, North Sewell's Point Road. Basically, this is a project, a little different than the rest of them we just spoke about, is one that we will work with Martin County about. And you all are aware that Martin County owns and maintains North Sewell's Point Road. So we will be coordinating with Martin County the sharing of this process. We met with Don Donaldson, the county administrator. He's hoping in March to present to his board, Board of County Commission, placing North Sewell's Point Road on his capital improvement program. We call that CIP. So he is going to do that. He's got to ask them for permission to do that. And so with that, then he can discuss how much money they can put into this program, okay? So at this point, he seems to be willing to put in there at least starting the design. And I will tell you, that's just starting the design. Essentially, what we want to do is basically start the design, determine what right-of-way easements we need, what amount of money we need. So that's the purpose of it, and we'll get permits, okay? So to get the process started, it won't be the final total design, but it will be enough to get us that enough information so we can move forward with knowing what we need to reserve as land and knowing what we need for money. So that's again, all this is pending Martin County support. The item that was discussed, and of course it's a matter of his board agreeing to this, is that we would split the design phase of this 50-50, but he would not guarantee that we would support 50-50 on the construction cost. So that's where we're going to need your help. So we'll go through that
Who's
process.
responsible to, since it's their road, essentially their road, are they responsible to go get the grants, or do we have to get grants for our portion? How's that work?
So that's a point of discussion, and you're right. It could have been, we could have said, you go get the grants and everything. And the reason we went after the grants is because it's flooding, and it's not their top priority. That's what they'll tell you. It's not their top, it's like this, it's just like the septic to sewer, right? It wasn't their priority, so if you want to wait 15 years, and we can go in the queue, and we can wait 15 years. So we've decided, as you've done on a lot of these projects, to move forward. So we move forward, we're going after a grant. In this case, it's a Dorian grant, okay? It's a Dorian grant that we went after, and we were successful in getting the grant, but at a much lower cost, because all we were thinking of paying for is our small portion of it, okay? Any way you look at it, that cost of that project, we feel it's best to design and build that for the whole length of the road. It's not from right here, A1A, all the way to the town limits, and close it one time, not close it, because we don't try to close the road, but basically tear up the road at one time. So that puts this price up to significantly, $22.5 million, which means we're going to need their money, you're going to need a lot of grant money, and we need a lot of this to fall in place. We could fall back to building it in portions, but it just means more time that the public's going to see it under construction. And so therefore, we thought the best route was to do this all at once. At this point, when we applied for that Dorian money, we were looking for about $4.6 million at that point. So we're pretty comfortable we can at least get that if we continue on our path for construction. So that, as you can see, we got quite a bit of money to make up. We know we're going to get Martin County money for water main or any utility adjustments, which we will have there. That road is full of sewer mains, it is full of low-pressure mains, it is also full of water mains, okay? So that's significant. The other thing I'll bring to your attention is we are not only doing the road, we are going up into the subdivisions, which is our areas, because we're trying to hold the water back from up in the upland areas from getting into the low-lying areas, which is North Sewell's Point Road. So they both have to work together for this to work. Anyways, that's a lot to talk about on one project, and I know you have a lot of decisions to make there, but probably in March, we should be prepared on what our position is going to be on this, because Bob has a cash flow issue to work on, because if they split the $750,000 first phase of design, that's, you guys need to come up with 300, I think it's 375, I don't think it's 325, should have said 375. So that's another item that's in the cash flow issue.
If I may, just to kind of explain a little bit of the county administrator's situation, obviously they have to do the roadway, but depending on how major of a project our stormwater is going to be, and how far up we have to reach in the upland area to stop that water from coming down and hitting their road. And, that's where, there needs to be, and I guess more on the engineering side, justification on why we would do a certain allocation of funding, or the split, say. So, he's not committing to anything right now because we're not sure until the preliminary design work is done, what that justification might be. So it's not that he's saying no, he's just saying, just from face value, it looks like there's more of a project in the drainage and stormwater than there is in building the roadway, so. Go ahead.
Keep going.
Okay, keep going.
You're on a roll.
On a roll, okay. Just so you know, low-pressure sewer mains and all the sewer lines are in North Sewell's Point, so we don't have a sewer number needed for that area. So, but there could be water main. Okay. Status of the septic to sewer commercial. As you know, everything's complete. Permits are certified. We did receive the DEP grant, received the reimbursement of $185,000. And at this point, I think The only thing outstanding out there is the property owner's contribution. We're still waiting on some of that to come back. I don't know if we received it all yet, but, so that's all I was pointing out there. That's good news, is we did get the reimbursement from DEP for the work on these grinders here.
Mr. Mayfield?
Yeah. I thought there was 185,000 appropriation. Wasn't that part of, isn't that what?
Yeah, that's the, well, I put it as an LPA grant.
And an appropriation.
It's an
Oh,
appropriation grant.
appropriation grant.
Yeah.
Oh, it was?
Yeah, it went through DEP. That's the one that I believe you went there and
Yeah.
applied for.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I
That's
wasn't
what
here,
remember.
so.
I remember
good.
asking for it, and I was like, I didn't know, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
LPA may not have been the right term to use.
An appropriations grant, not to get off topic, is they, what has,
Well, the state, what you went to is you went before the
correct?
local delegation, Gail Harold, state
Right.
senator.
Just like the other one.
And then basically, you asked them to just give you an appropriation for that
And
funding.
they,
And
they can
said-
get it wherever they want.
Yeah, they can take,
Okay.
so, just so you know, John was referring to earlier was the appropriation for Phase 2. That was through the DOT, because they classified it more as a roadway project, whereas the utility of grinders and so forth that you put in here, that fell more into the utility, so they put that under DEP. So they divvy it up depending on who's got the more money for that item, okay, which in this case with DEP.
Okay, that makes sense, thank you.
Okay, so this is the one that was a little hard to present to you because this is septic to sewer, and as you know, we have 706 connections proposed in South Sewell's Point. We have a DEP resiliency grant. We've received that. That's for $8.4 million. And so I always like to remind people, so $8.4 million is 50% of what we predict the cost would be to actually put sewers in people's houses. The $8.4 million, but will put the low-pressure force mains in front of all the lots down there, okay? So in our case, we basically have a grant, and in the grant application, we are going to use the people when they go pay their capital, we call it a connection fee. Basically, they will be, they will pay that fee. That'll be the match that we have for that grant, okay? So that's the connection fee, and that's the line from the lines in the road right away to the house, removal of their, filling up their septic tank, tying in a grinder station, all that. That's the numbers. So I just want you to know there's two parts. We put the lines in front of their house, then they go to Martin County Utilities and hook up, and they can pay, I've used the numbers between $7,000 and $12,000 a property, and basically that's the way it'll work in the future. There's a portion, and this is all sewers in South Sewell's Point, okay? So the second note I'm pointing out to you is we have the permits for the areas in Phase 4 and 3 of South Sewell's Point Road. And we went up into two neighborhoods in Phase 3, the Villa Lucinda area and the Homewood subdivision, because those are areas where we felt it would be easier to build low-pressure mains, and another type of sewer would tear up the road, so we didn't want to do that in those areas. So that's we have permits there. As you know, we will install low-pressure mains in South Sewell's Point areas depending on where the plan is. And there's a map in the front of the town hall that shows you which ones we were putting in. That's the purple map that you have out there. So anyway, that shows you where we plan on low pressure. Okay, so as you know, we have an option one. Option one refers to low-pressure force mains. And we have two parts of that. And the first part is 169 connections. And the second part is 171 connections. And if you recall, I told you at this point, the county is only allowing us to do 340 connections. That's 169 plus 171, okay? So that's what is, part one is under construction by Jamie Underground, okay? And we expect that, well, there's a contract that says 7/28/24 is when he'll be done. I will tell you, he's ahead of things right now. It could be as early as May that he'll be done putting the low-pressure mains in that area. So that's the
How
first
far
thing.
down is that going, Joe?
That goes down to the end of Rio Vista. So that's the end of Phase 3 project.
Okay.
Goes down to Rio Vista. Okay, so we hope that possibly we will continue with Jamie Underground into the Option 1, Part 2 area, and that's 171 connections, and that goes down to High Point. So that's what our plan is. We still don't have the design and permitting finished, but we are getting survey work now, and we will be out there getting that designed. We hope that construction can start if we go through a process where we just work with Jamie Underground and the grant agencies allow, then we can just roll right into the next phase, okay? If we have to go to bid, there may be a 2-month delay here. Anyways, you can see that would put us starting in April, and we could have a 6-month contract on that also. So then the hardest part about this is the next one, which is we still have 366 connections to work out, which is the 706 total minus the 340 that the county's letting us use for low-pressure mains. Couple things we have to remember here. Did you want to ask a question before I get into
Got a
that?
couple of buttons going, Vice Mayor Fender?
Yeah, you mentioned the difficulty of the 706, but do I understand correctly from my memory that the 366 is all the low-lying areas down South Sewell Point Road?
No, actually, that is the 169 plus the 171 entails the low-lying areas.
That's what I'm talking about. The
Yeah.
169 plus the 170
171.
is straight down Sewell Point Road and the low-lying areas.
Low-lying areas, and I will tell you, we do High Point, because we've already built
High Point.
water mains in High Point, so we continue to.
So
figure-
what you referred to as the difficulty of the additional 366 maybe, or the
706 minus-
706,
Right,
that's moving off of South Sewell Point up each of the finger roads.
that's right.
Okay. Fine.
Make sense?
I don't have as much angst about that as you do, but I'm happy about the low-lying stuff.
Okay.
That's the most important. Commissioner Gersman?
Yeah, the others, you were starting to get to it anyhow, I apologize, I didn't, but the ones that are not grinders, that would be the
Gravity.
gravity units. And I have talked to Sam Emerson, he's insisting, once we put in gravity, it's mandatory.
Yes. Well, it's mandatory, but just so we're clear, it's mandatory. It's mandatory if the septic tank drain field fails, right?
No, he says it's mandatory if it goes in front of your house.
Well, it's mandatory, yeah, it's mandatory, but it is mandatory also in the low pressure.
But that's whether or not, it doesn't matter if the septic fails or not, it's mandatory. So that means the moment that gravity unit is, the pipe's in front of your house, it's mandatory to hook up.
Not-
That's new.
That's not my understanding.
That-
Yeah, but that's what I went through with Sam.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make sure we're all on the same page.
Yeah, no,
Did you speak to Sam on this?
well, first of all, I would have
We've
thought he
been
would have
through
told.
this for 2 years, so.
No, because I'm just repeating what Sam said. He says, if the grinders, it's until, once the unit fails, that's when you have to look into the grinder. If your septic unit goes on for the next 40 years, you'll hook up 40 years later.
I just want to make sure you're not having a conversation out of context.
No. I've talked
I
to
mean,
Sam multiple.
yeah, I know you don't believe you are, but I'm saying that,
No. We went through this.
Okay, well, we need to clarify that with him, because that's totally different.
Yeah.
That's totally different, and that's not been the position we took with him. We told him that we did not have support for mandatory hookup unless a septic tank drain field failed, but that's fine. I'm not surprised at some of what's being said, because there's also position on, if you look at the map, most of the stuff along River Road to St. Lucie River, if those septic tank drain fields fail, then they have to do a high-level disinfectant drains improvement program, which is more expensive than just replacing your drain field. So the point I'm trying to make is there's other reasons that this.
Is that the new House bill you're talking about?
No, it's already in place. This one's already.
Right, the newer.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, we had discussion on that a couple of months ago. It's- it's-
Right.
It's the west side, and
It's
also,
the west side,
it
yeah.
also occurs in the part of High Point, doesn't it, Joe?
Yes, yeah, so it's, and I would like to use that as a reason to say, we now have reasons to hook up the the west side of town, because if one of theirs fails, they're gonna spend a lot more money than what they're gonna spend on tying into the county system. So, I mean, I'm hoping they're gonna give us some leeway in that, which means maybe they'll increase the number of connections from 340 to 706. Wouldn't that be nice?
It would be so nice. All they have to do is say, we agree.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all they have to do.
That's right.
That's it. There's nothing
Predict
difficult.
that will be happening.
So anyways, I'm not disputing what you're saying. He's never told me that, and I talk to him quite regularly, but I will call him tomorrow and find out if that's the case. Yeah,
You know, because that's a fine line, you know, you don't want to cross that line.
that's right, that's right. And so now he's got to figure out how he's going to find money for us, because we're going to need more money to do gravities, as well as disrupting all our roads and everything that we have to put gravity. So anyways, that's all I was explaining there, so I'll follow up on that, Commissioner. Let's see, so at this point, we have a grant for $8.4 million. In option one, part one, the 169 connections, we between what Jamie Underground is building, about $2.4 million is what's accounted for in that area, okay? So we still got about $5.9 million left to do the rest of South Sewell's Point, okay? So, I mean, if everything was equal, gravity, grinder, and so forth, and you can see we're about a quarter, we've used up about a quarter of the resiliency money, and we're about a quarter done with the number of connections. So I know the numbers are a little different than that, but that's pretty close. Anyways, all I was trying to explain to you is the low-pressure main is what's being built with the grant. The customer connection packages is the match amount, and so those property owners will have to go to the county to get that. We're going to have 171 in Part 2, and then option 1, Part 1 or 2 for the 366, we don't know if it's going to be low-pressure or gravity. So I think we need to maybe decide how we're going to approach the county on this, get a little more information together, and we can approach them whenever you decide that you want to go after that again, but.
Commissioner Mayfield?
Yes. Okay, what you just said, the $8.4 million resiliency fund for septic to sewer, I was under the impression that in theory, obviously we have obstacles, would pay for all of the septic to sewer grinder, but now you just said it would only, that's not the case, right? Because you have 6 million left. It looked like it would be, if it was kind of the same for each of the quarter, right?
Well, I think the 8.4 million could pay for all grinders. Let me make that correction, all low-pressure force mains.
Right.
We could do that, but if we got to go to gravity, because remember, the difference in the study was low-pressure force mains were 15 million grinders, right? And then we went to phase 2, it was up to 25 million, or option 2.
Right.
Which included gravity and grinders. So we don't have that extra.
I'm just saying that for 169 costing 2.4, if you times that kind of by 4, that's more than 8.4, right?
Yes,
Okay.
but we're getting the main trunk in.
So that's what's more expensive?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're getting the main trunk in.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Okay. So anyways, I haven't done the breakdown in gravity yet because I was kind of waiting to see where this goes. I just didn't want to spend your money on that. I'm just trying to get the grinders in first. The low-pressure force mains, I should say. Get those in, and then we can decide how we want to approach the county again. So I don't know which direction they're going to take. They seem to be pretty adamant on us going to gravity, so.
But it's election year. Maybe they're more swayable.
Go ahead, David.
With the gravity unit now, is that like a
Dave, can you speak into the mic, please? Thank you.
Is the gravity unit like a double flap? In other words, as the water discharges from the home, is there like a round flap that opens up as the water discharges and it closes once I guess the water's done discharging, so it doesn't backflow into the house?
Well, there's,
I think that round flap he's talking about might be called a check valve for,
yeah, we don't, that's not, it's not a pump system, it's gravity.
Yes.
So basically, it flows by gravity down, down into the system, and then it goes into a lift station, okay? So it's not the same way as, you may be thinking of the vacuum system or the grinder system that does have a backflow in the main line.
And if that system were to back up,
You can put them in a gravity system too. You can put those valves in a gravity system.
I don't know much about the gravity system, that's why I'm asking these questions. And so in other words, if the gravity system can it back up into a home? Is that possible?
It is possible. I don't want to tell you it isn't possible, but normally we place them so that they don't back up into the system, and you can put valves in the system for that. Most of the time, however, that will happen before it gets into the house. That before it. Yeah.
You do?
You do. Yeah.
Yeah, but the only thing is everybody's sewage is coming into your house if it backs up. In other words, the guy on the low end would basically have the entire backup, so in other words, they say it all goes downhill. So as it backs up, it's got to go somewhere.
I think, Dave, what you're worried about is there occasionally you will get, somebody put something, put a basketball down their toilet. We've had that happen at Fort Pierce Utilities, believe it or not. And that can cause some problems, but it's very rare. It's very rare, and Martin County can pick up the problem very quickly.
I'm just ignorant toward the gravity, so I understand the grinder, I understand vacuum, this is the in-between I don't get.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Okay. But I will check into what Sam Emerson's telling you to make sure I understand that, because that's a little different than what we've been talking about. I think I'm done. If anybody has any more questions.
No, that was very helpful. That was very helpful.
Yeah, I appreciate it,
that.
Joe. Very good.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, that brings us to, I believe that brings us to the end of the line. Any staff comments? Mr. Daniels?
No, we're moving right along. We do have a holiday weekend this weekend with President's Day being Monday. So the town hall will be closed on Monday, and I have an opportunity to go up and see my son up in Alabama for their parents' weekend. So I'm going to be off on Thursday and Friday, but available by phone. And so it's just to let you all know.
Any commission comments? I have one comment, and maybe it's a question or, I was reading an email from Kathy Miskowski. It had to do with posting of a meeting, and I'm a little concerned that maybe we need to do a better job of posting meetings. Specifically, I was thinking about the Charter Review Commission. Okay, they've had 3 meetings so far, and you could find the meetings on the in the listing of meetings on the webpage, but there was no posting like we would post a regular meeting like this. And I'm concerned that some of the folks may not be aware that those meetings have been going on, and I think we just need to do a better job in doing that. So if you take a look at that, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, we do have one remaining meeting, and that's going to be on the 26th of February, and then you'll have a final report coming at your first meeting in March.
Well, what I was concerned that maybe some of the folks that weren't necessarily on the commission wanted to listen in on the meetings, and they may not have known they were going on.
Okay.
Commissioner Kurzman.
Yeah, I'm going to touch on 2 things. One that you did, well, it might not be a bad idea to do like a weekly email blast meetings for like the next 6 weeks or whatever it might be. Whatever meetings, whether it's the town meeting, charter review, whatever else we have going on. That's something, so this way they're able to see 6 weeks out and it keeps repeating itself every week. I think that might be an idea that we could look into doing.
Well-
This way it's consistent, and this way they have 6 weeks to prepare. Up to the week, you'll still get a notice.
The only problem is if you keep sending the same notice out every week, then they stop looking at the notices. So what we did do, in fact, in reference to the stormwater and vulnerability study meetings that we've held, there was an attachment in the email that did go out to all the residents that are listed, and that attachment had the dates of all the meetings. So they could even printed that out if they wanted to. And then we follow up with the meeting information for the next meeting that's coming up with a couple days before that meeting occurs. So that's kind of been the way that we've been doing it. I mean, if your direction is to send it out every week and update a 6-week running list, I just think we're going to,
Well, maybe once a month, so like, let's say, March 1st would be the meetings for the next 6 weeks, and this way you could see 6 weeks out. Then April 1st, it would be for the entire April and the first 2 weeks of May, so, you know, people could plan out, maybe that might be a good way to do it. If anything else occurs, that there's a meeting that we just have, we could just do an automatic email blast once we find out about that meeting. Maybe we go that direction.
okay.
The other thing I was going to comment about, I like the report for the police report, the way everything's all detailed. It's interesting to actually see, and it makes you appreciate more what's going on. I like the detailed report that was put out, and it did catch my eyes, and I actually read the whole thing, so
Well, good.
I appreciate, thank you.
Mr. Mayfield.
Did you say Mr. Mayfield? Sounded like you said Mr. Mayfield. Sounded like you said Mr. Mayfield, but.
Commissioner.
Say Commissioner.
Oh, sorry, that was me. I apologize. Following up with that meeting thing, I think it's, speaking as someone who has children in school and trying to get information, this age of technology is very difficult to have one place to find your information. I struggle with my children to know where to go. Do you go to the Facebook page? Do you go to the parents' Facebook page? Do you go to the website? Do you go to your email? So I feel for you guys because everyone's going to different places, and it's hard to get it all and not oversaturate where people are like, because you get a million emails and you're like, I'm busy, and then I forget about email. So I feel for you. Maybe you could let everyone know that there'll always be the meetings posted in person, because we're so small, it seems like most people could stop by and look if they really wanted a heads up of when meetings are. I don't know if that's a good solution, but that one at least is easy to, people can come and get it if they want. But I feel for you because I don't know a good place to put all the information.
Well, we do that, and as you can see on your screen, this is our website, and this has the Charter Review Committee meeting on the 26th. It has the Zoning Board of Adjustments, the Special Magistrate hearing, and tonight's meeting.
When you go, will you click on the home, what do you get when you Google Town of Sewell's Point, when you go to the home page? I've looked at this many times myself, but will you click on the home page?
Sure.
Please, sorry.
No, that's fine.
Right, if somehow, because people look at big things, so if you wrote meetings in big letters at the top or something.
Well, we are limited, and that's one of the things that, we've been dealing with our website, and, we're allowed 6 widgets.
Yeah.
And
Click on meetings, what happens when you click that?
that takes you to that list of meetings that I just showed you.
That's pretty good, it's not too, it's like, some people, once you get myself included, you have to click more than twice, you're like, this is too hard to get to, I can't find it.
I've been used to websites that do have banners that run across,
yeah.
and, so the most up-to-date information is going to come across on a banner. But we're tied in with this particular vendor for another year on the agreement, and we do want to take an opportunity to go out and see what's out on the market that we can do this next year, so.
Vice Mayor Fender.
I wasn't going to waste our time on this topic, but since we're talking about it, I attended the first meeting for Joe, the Joe meetings that are happening right now. And because I received the email notification that it was happening, I was late, oddly enough. But I was also driving north from Boca in my car, trying to find the meeting. Really, I was trying to find the YouTube link because I was going to be late, and we texted, and you said, oh, it's not on YouTube. I'm like, oh, okay. So I eventually showed up late. But I noticed those meetings are not listed on here, right?
Because they're not regular commission meetings, but
But
I don't know,
to-
can we
to-
enter those?
They're under Town Commission special meetings.
Okay, my point is I know that I did a whole bunch of searches trying to find when and where, and, because, but, and I had a hard time even navigating this on my phone, because while I was driving, of all things. Don't ever do that, by the way.
Yeah.
We also have the calendar monthly
But
view.
to Commissioner Kurzman's point, I live in email, right? And I live on my calendar. And so if I got an email once a week or every couple of weeks that had all the meetings in the future, if like today, like in the past week, I thought 4 times during the week, is there a commission meeting this week? Because I don't have my packet. And I somehow came to the conclusion today that there was no meeting tonight. But I would have normally gone to my email and searched for most recent meetings coming up, and then I would have been proven that there was a meeting tonight. So I'm just saying, I kind of agree with his periodic email blast of upcoming meetings, but I'm not passionate about it, but that is how I work. I search email all the time,
Same way, I get a lot of email blasts on a regular basis for reminders.
And I ignore them all until I need them, and then I search for them. Yeah.
I just wanted to ask April if I can. April, you were saying about a special meeting list on our website. Where's that at?
Click on meetings where you were,
Scroll down.
Okay.
and you'll see Town Commission special meetings. Under past meetings, if you scroll down just a little bit, and the plus sign, Town Commission special meetings, will have all your charter review.
But it's under past meetings.
Right, because those are the past charter reviews.
Okay.
Why not put it in the list of all meetings?
Because once
But
it,
it's not the charter review that he brought up. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you. I apologize. What he's speaking about are our special meetings that we have that don't involve the commission, but do involve our town engineer.
they're posted at the top, and once the date is passed, it goes to the bottom, kind of thing.
It's
Doesn't the
posted on the
term-
upcoming events?
Upcoming events imply events that are upcoming?
Right, okay, we'll work it out.
I'm not
I don't want to belabor
not
the
beating
point.
you up on it, I'm just.
Too many things to get
I think
to.
we're covering staff and we're covering the commission and the town by doing this. And I think it's there every week, just the events, the meetings, and it's there. If you don't care about it, don't look at it. If you're interested, you'll click it. Exactly. I think it's pretty simple.
Sounds good.
I know that's work.
We will improve.
It's a work in progress.
And when people are looking at government websites, they usually want the meetings. That's what they care about most when I go to other governments in general. And they're hard to find, not harder, but you got to go through 4 steps. Like on the county, you got to go fairly far to try to pull up their schedule and stuff. So I think whoever does the page, if you can make meetings super accessible, that will help when you're in the car on your phone trying to find.
And nobody's ever say, we didn't hear about it. At the end
Sounds
of the
good.
day.
This is actually better than a lot of places.
It is, yeah. Like I said, the county, you got to go far.
Because I do this all the
Yeah.
time for a lot of different places.
Okay, are there any other comments from the commission? If not, motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
We're adjourned. Thank you.